All right, we are both fresh off the jet from Flight Sim Expo 2024 in Las Vegas. It was wild. It was crazy. It was overwhelming. So many words to explain our experience in Vegas. XP, how was it for you?
Well, let's just say that I literally just got back a few hours ago. I want to sleep. I haven't slept yet, but it's so much to think about, recap, get into, just yeah, hype. Hype is the name of the word here, right there. These these badges, me and the Hand of God wore these badges for 3 days around our neck, and we were proud to wear the full 3 days.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yep. Yes, yes, yes. Wow. What can I say? Best flight to Mexico ever for me. And I've been going since 2019. Orlando, went to San Diego, went to Houston, and now this one. And I think it's been the best one for me so far by a good distance too, as well. You know, um, all 3 days, we basically closed the place, right?
yeah.
Usually the Sunday, I would be out. No, we closed the place on a Sunday and they had to kick us out basically. So yeah, it was out of this world.
Yeah, they
Um,
really had to kick us out. They literally
yeah,
had to kick us out of the hotel.
yeah, they did. They had to kick us out. And so I am just trying to even think where to start, but shout out to Evan and the team and Phil and everybody else from FS Expo who put this thing together because they did an excellent job on short notice because the original hotel, as you remember, is getting demolished. So
Yeah, I
imagine
saw
you
it.
book.
On the
Yeah,
way
we saw it.
from the airport, the Uber
Yeah.
driver was like, "Hey, yep, that's the whatever it's called, the
Yeah,
Tropicana," and it's
Tropicana.
literally just like, I mean, it's gutted, and you can
Right.
see basically half of a building left. I mean, it's gone.
Yeah. Can you imagine you book and you're ready to go and someone's like, "Oh, by the way, yeah, we're demolishing the hotel. Have a nice day. See you later." So yeah, um, that did happen, but they recovered, pivoted, got us the Rio Hotel in Vegas, which is under reconstruction. But the good thing about it is that the rooms that we stayed in were updated.
Yes,
Nice, fresh rooms, and those rooms are huge.
they were massive.
Yeah,
They
they
were
don't make
massive.
hotel rooms like that. You know what I'm saying? They don't. And so we enjoyed the rooms.
I want to
Absolutely did.
say real quick, I when I was in Houston, which is might be a little biased because Houston's my hometown. But when
Right.
we were in Houston for Flight Sim Expo, I thought that it was the best year ever. And at the time, it was the best Flight Sim Expo ever. I think most people would agree, besides the heat outside.
Right.
And at the end of that event, I was like, man, like, I can't imagine it being better than this. I really couldn't. I was like, man, like we were in a museum. There was so many people there. We were hitting record numbers. I was like, I can't imagine it getting any better than this. Like, hopefully they go back to Houston again so we can get like the same experience or even better. And then this year we go back and it is like you said, like it's better, but by a mile. Like it's not even
Yeah.
close. And so yeah, I was just overwhelmed how how good it was. And we keep saying how good it was, but why was it so good? Right? For those who may not
Hmm.
have been there, if you were there, you understand, you get it. But for those who weren't there, like XP, why was it so good?
I'm gonna say there's so much I could say why it was good. But let me start with just the people. We have watched the audience numbers grow um steadily. More people from my own channel and stream coming out to Expo than the previous years because
Yeah.
I guess they got a taste to see what it was like and they're like, I'm not gonna get missed out on that. I want a piece of that too, right? So one was just the sheer number of people that came out all 3 days again for the entire weekend. I okay, I know you have this on video, but usually the line to register for Expo, it's a lot of people. This one literally was down the hallway and around the corner, like a quarter mile long.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I saw you walk in the line with your camera, so I can't wait to see what that looks like when you do your recap video on that. So that just goes to show, you know what I mean? And then, let me just go here too. The diversity of people,
Mm,
you know, um, young people, a bunch of them around Microsoft Flight Simulator stations, like a lot more young people. You understand? A lot more older people. You know, I guess we're middle aged. I'm saying, I mean, a lot more women. You know, a lot more quote unquote minorities or whatever. It's just the variation, the variety, and ethnicities, and everything was there, and it made me smile.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everything and everyone was represented there naturally. So right there for me, I saw it as like, yeah, the vibes is right. Everybody was having a good time. Everybody was smiling. And we're not even getting into the vendors and the hardwares and the things to see, but there was enough for everybody to see that, as you said, Houston had two rooms. So you think there was a lot more at Houston. And I kept walking back and forth between the two. But this, yeah, what do you what do you think? For you, what was it?
I would say back to the diversity you mentioned that was a big part of it. But what I mean by diversity for me is also the international diversity that we got this time. Now that
Aha.
we're even
Yes.
farther beyond COVID, right? All the travel restrictions have been lifted, and again, people were like, "Oh, they actually see the value of coming out to the event." So we're seeing people coming from Australia, from Europe, from South America, like all over were there, and it was incredible to have that. So again, obviously the people is a big part of that. The vendors was pretty cool too. Again, same thing. Vendors coming from all over the world, not just the state of Nevada, right? So it's
Right, right,
really
right,
that was
right.
really nice. I think one of the reasons why I thought that it was so good um, was the kind of the mixture of actual um, vendors that were there. You had a little bit of
Hmm.
everything, right? You had um, combat sim, you had civil aviation, flight sim on X Plane, Microsoft. You had various types of hardware, a lot of hardware. I want to say probably the most diverse amount of hardware I've ever seen
Hmm.
personally,
Hmm.
and a lot of it, right? So there's that. And then speaking of hardware as well, for me, what I thought made it so good was just kind of the sheer, like, I didn't really know what to expect. And so I got some massive surprises as far as the hardware goes. Massive hardware surprises from like WinWing, for example, Moza, for example, Virpil. All these different guys came with it with a lot of massive announcements, as well as other software developers also coming through with some massive announcements like Bluebird. And I think honestly, this is what I was hoping from last year. We had the Friday event, and we're hoping to have kind of like an E3 kind of feel, right? I know
Hmm.
E3 is done with and gone, but like those big gaming developer conferences where you sit there and on the stage they announce all these massive games coming up. Well, we got that finally in Flight Sim. We had all these different developers come through and announce these big updates and things coming up, including Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 itself, having a good kind of deep dive into that, into the trailer, and the new aircraft coming to the sim, and breaking down some of the things that we didn't really, know about so much. So I think just a mixture of all those things made it so much better, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, look, we had the stable people, the thrust masters of the world were there. They've been there from day one, supporting and having their products. But competition is good. And we saw competition not from one, two, but three new hardware people making flight sim hardware. You understand? And I'm not talking about just, DCS, and stuff. I'm talking about like Microsoft Flight Sim hardware, X-Plane hardware, is what I'm saying, to do the airliner and GA and commercial flying. That variety is good. One of those, actually, no, four, because one of those people, they had their own event on Friday, and then they showed up at the expo on Saturday.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You know, I don't know who reached out to who, but they realize and chose Flight Sim Expo as a place to come show their wares, which is really good. You understand? And what I like to talk about diversity, we had price points from down here for a certain audience all the way up to the top. So if you're getting into flight simming right now, it's a good time for you because now you there's something for every budget. There's a company there called Hori. Never heard of them. Brand new out the gate, and they're targeting a certain market. You know, so there's high end, low end, in between. which that alone was exciting to see. The VR station that they had set up, which is, I love how they did that. They had a whole section just for VR.
Yeah.
So you can make an appointment. You have to make it. By the way, guys, I'm telling you, at Expo, make sure you make an appointment for certain things, right? You have to make an appointment for the VR. You can't just walk up and try because there's a line. Same thing for Scalarki and the A320 cockpit. He was busy the entire time, start to finish. Poor guy, never got a break. You know,
Yeah.
uh, exactly. I love what Microsoft did with the station in the middle, where I saw a bunch of kids came up. I want to say there was at least 10 stations that just you could come sit down and try the sim.
Mhm.
You know, and it's open in the middle of everything, and you could see that. So people who have never flight sim, they can come test it out and see something. I mean, hands on was there. Um, and then, two other things. You had Thrustmaster putting on an event where they're giving out prizes. That Captain Canada was running that landing challenge. That
Yep.
had a buzz around it as well. Many youngsters, as a youngster who won it, by the way, he came in and dropped the number and walked away. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. You know what I mean? And then the other hand, what for me as a content creator and you, one of the best parts was the streamer booth,
Yeah.
right? Was the hangout spot for, I get to see guys in their own element. We don't know what we look like when we're streaming. I get to sit back and watch other content creators put on their streams. You understand? And just stand in the back and go, "Wow, this is how they do it." And we all do it differently. Everybody. If you guys don't understand, for the streamer booth, we all had to show up ahead of time and config and customize the way we work and our workflow, which wasn't easy. You know what I'm saying?
No.
And so to see the other streamers do that was, to me, was good. But people are coming up to the booth, taking pictures, asking questions, shaking hands. They even used the booth to do interviews to other people too, because we
Yeah.
had a little backdrop there. So those things, man, it's like the buzz was just exciting the entire time, start to finish.
Yeah, it was
Definitely.
definitely a buzz, and I mean, all that's cool, right? But again, I'm always brought back to just the people, man. It's the thing that brings me back to Flight Sim Expo every single year is the people involved, the all the flight simmers that are there that you get to talk to and hang out with, and the developers you get to ask questions. When I say people, I don't just mean flight simmers; I mean the developers too.
Yeah.
The developers are there in person. You get to talk to them and you get to pick their brains and make suggestions and make complaints. You know what I'm saying? Like give
Yeah.
feedback, and that's honestly one of the big reasons that I learned that some of the developers were even there was like Moza, for example, who is completely brand new to the flight sim space, are there just getting feedback, right? It's like they're listening to every single flight sim that comes up there. Somebody says, "Oh, your joystick is too stiff," or "It's too that," or "I love this." Like they're taking that feedback, taking it back to the factory, and they're gonna go with it, right? And every single vendor out there was doing that same thing, and so it's being able to do that, and then being so nice to you, and being so
Oh yeah.
like they're listening, they're literally listening, and then again the actual flight simmers themselves and being able to talk to them and just like as soon as I got to the hotel, I met somebody who was gonna probably be a friend for the rest of my life, who we've never met in person before, and that seems to happen every single year.
That is one major point. Shout out to everybody who came up and say, "Hey, XP, what's up? I am so and so." Every time that happens, it warms my heart. I'm gonna tell you that much because we stream every year, yearly. We talk to chat, we know a screen name. Now we put a face to our name.
Yeah,
You understand? And they came out to enjoy the show, to take a picture with you, to say what's up to you. And every single time I stopped and just chatted with that person, as you said, make friends. You understand? I met a couple of people that we talked the entire show.
mm,
Never met them ever. Never talked to them ever, except a couple of words on chat. Now you're having a whole conversation for the entire weekend. You
yeah,
know, not just that you're hanging out with them, you're having dinner with them. You know what I'm saying? Beyond the show. So shout out to everybody who came up and say what's up. I appreciate that. You know what I mean? Absolutely. That's what keeps us going as simmers. That's what keeps me going. Is just the people, taking their time out to come say what's up to you. I appreciate you guys for doing that. Absolutely, absolutely. Um, was honored to be asked to take a picture with somebody. I'm actually honored. You know what I'm saying? That humbles me. Like, wow, thank you, man. Appreciate that. So yeah, that's big. That is
Yeah.
big, and that's what Flight Sim Expo is all about. You know what I mean? Yeah, and now we know what the next one is going to be and where it's going to be,
Mm.
and we can start planning earlier and make your arrangements and your vacation days and stuff like that, and book it earlier. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be doing the same thing. you know, I already know who I'm going to be flying up there. You know what I'm saying? Oh, and also I'm going to be looking at what can be done in and around the area. You know, after simming is over, where do you eat? Where do you go? What do you see? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So
So
yeah.
I have two questions for you real quick, and that is how important are the activities around the expo that are not expo related? How important are those activities to a successful Flight Sim Expo? Because we've had both, right? We've had Las Vegas now, which is obviously, I mean, there's never enough time to do everything you can do in Vegas. We had Houston, on the other hand, that's not a tour town, right? You don't usually go there for to be a tour. I mean, to be a yeah for vacation per se. And so there's
Right.
things to do, but like it's not like Vegas. And then we have coming up Providence, Rhode Island, which is another location that you don't necessarily go to for fun, right? Which I'm sure there's things to do, but so my question is, how important are those other things around the event that are not related to the event um, for an successful event?
Well, I have never done any of these events. Let me just say that I have never done any of these flight sim events because I just don't have the time, right, to do it. And I'm the person I want to see everything on the floor and talk to everybody on the floor as much as possible, developers and patrons alike. But apparently, these things sell out really quick, right? They sell out really quick, as far as I know. So they must be very important to Flight Sim Expo
Well, let
because,
me let me clarify. Let me clarify. 'Cause I see where you're going with that. You're talking about like the excursion type things, like the
right,
ATC tours and things like that. I'm not talking about
right.
that. I think that's necessary
Ah,
actually. I
right,
think
right,
that is necessary, especially if you don't know anybody. It gives you something to do, and I think they're also just freaking cool to get to go see an ATC
right,
tower.
right.
Um,
Exactly.
but I'm talking about beyond, like the stuff that the city provides, like just like
Oh,
going to a
ah,
casino or going to the Grand Canyon, things like that, like the surrounding the event that's not related to the event at all. Like, how important is that to a successful event?
I'm going to say it's important in a sense that, for people who are local, they can get away for the weekend and go back home Sunday night, Monday morning, go back to work. For people who are flying from overseas, they might want to put more time and make it a vacation. Or for people who are traveling with their spouses, you know, you drag your spouse along, they can only see so much and talk about flight sim so much before they get not bored but tired. You know what I mean? We could talk flight sim all day long, but your spouse.
Yep.
So I believe that it's nice to have other things to do if you want to extend your vacation, other than just the weekend, either before the weekend or after the weekend. So it should be in close enough proximity to other things that you can do outside of it. You know, for the hardcore simmer like me and you, were probably like, "Yeah, I'm good." You know, but I think it's important actually.
Okay, that
How
makes
high of
sense.
importance? I don't know. I think it's important for that reason.
Right.
What do you think?
I've been torn with that because, like, for me, sadly, I've not been able to bring my significant other to any of the Flight Sim expos that I've been to yet.
Right,
And so to me, it hasn't mattered, honestly, what city that it's in or what's surrounding that city because when I come to Flight Sim Expo, I come there for the event and
right,
not for where the event is, right?
right,
And so all my time is spent on the event floor, doing event activities, meeting event people, and then after hours, right when the doors close, before and after, I'm now hanging out with the people from the event, right? Usually at
right,
just some restaurant nearby, which you could do in any city. You can find some good food anywhere you go, right? And so that's been my experience, but I haven't really branched out to do a whole lot else. This year, I did go to the Grand Canyon and the Hoover Dam, which was cool because I could do that in Vegas. But I couldn't probably do something like that in Rhode Island. Maybe I could. So my point
right,
is like I've never really gone except for this time beyond the event. If I had not gone to the Grand Canyon this year, I would have been hanging out with somebody from the event, right, on that Thursday beforehand, and I probably would have
Right.
had just a good time doing that. So, yeah, I guess I think you're right, though. I think you're right. I think if you're trying to bring somebody else with you, or you're trying to extend your stay, I think it is important to
Yeah.
have other things
Yeah.
to do.
Within a good 45 minutes, an hour of a major city at least. I mean, so you can go downtown, you can enjoy the said city. You could tell people, yeah, I've been to Boston. I've been to Rhode Island. I've seen this, I've seen that, not just the expo. Now, that's not going to be for everybody. Some people can only afford to just fly in and fly out a weekend. They can't stay the entire time.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, but having that as an option, I think is good, you know. And so look, I was looking at, you know, um, how they choose expo, and there's so many factors that goes into it that we don't even think about. You know, space, availability, and of course, everybody's favorite, price. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Yeah, we can have an expo in St. Martin, but how many people are gonna get to St. Martin? You know what I'm saying?
Not
It's
many.
like exactly that's the thing. So you wanna have it accessible to as many people as possible. You know what I mean? That's what it is.
I also
So
think that the years of skipping out on Sunday are over.
yes,
You
yes,
did you did it last year in I think Houston, I think San
yep,
Diego
yep.
as
I
well. You
did.
had to leave
I
like on the
I had to
Sunday.
run. Yep,
And so you missed out on a lot of really good, valuable time on the
yep.
expo floor. And I believe this year, I met a couple people who did end up leaving on like Saturday night or Sunday morning, and they fully regretted it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like you said,
Oh
it's
yeah.
been it's too much. It's too many vendors, too many things to see, do, talk to uh, in the 3 days for you to leave early. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's my opinion.
So word to the wise, don't leave early. Try to make the entire weekend. Like
If you
seriously, just try to make it if you can. You know, I'm not saying if you come Saturday you won't see a lot, but try to make the entire weekend.
Yeah, the
Make the
event is
weekend out of it.
growing so much that
Yes.
it's starting to become very difficult to see all of it in the time that they give you. So yeah,
True. True.
I'm
That is
thinking, what
that
do you
is
think
true.
about them adding another day?
Ooh, that's gonna be tough. That's
Or
gonna be tough.
or
I see
or
what you're saying.
so Friday usually in the last couple of years has been dedicated to just the announcement stuff. What if
Right.
we still did that, but open
Oh, showroom
the
floor.
showroom floor on the same day, maybe before or after, probably after, so that
I
we can
kind of
get an
sort of
extra
thought
day.
about that, release people to go into the floor. Now, I don't know if it has to do with time frame and you have to close out the floor at a certain time. So, make the announcements earlier in the day
Yeah.
and then open the floor up. I don't know. But the announcement day actually is fairly lengthy. It's actually was a good, what, 4 or 5 hours?
Yeah, let's talk about that. So,
Yeah.
I was a big fan of the announcement day back in Houston.
Right.
I love the idea. It was, there's some of the announcements weren't all that
Right.
exciting, right? Because it was the first time and a lot of people didn't actually see the value in doing it. I think this
Right.
year, more people saw the value of announcing their updates, products, and things like that on the Friday, but
Right.
it was pretty long. From what a lot of people did not stay until the end. And so I'm thinking, as far as feedback to the expo team, should they shorten the max amount of time? Should they do less developers? Should they be more picky on who announces on the
Mm.
Friday? More breaks. I mean, what can they do to make that Friday better? I like the idea still of the Friday, but honestly, I had no idea that X Plane even had a presentation until I saw it on
Right.
YouTube. I was like, wait, they did something
Yeah.
too? Because I was
Yeah.
long gone before
Wow.
they even took the stage, and
Wow.
many other people were too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then even Navigraph had a big update, and I missed that as well. Which yeah. So what do you think? What can they do better with that? Because a lot of people got
Hmm.
bored, sleepy,
I
uninterested about
I
halfway
don't
through.
know what the criteria is that you're using to have the different, developers come through and speak about their products and their wares. I don't know. I don't know what criteria they're using
I
for
don't think
it.
there is one,
It's just
honestly.
anybody who wants to come and
I think
speak
that they were trying to
is they
fill
could.
that space this year, and they're like, "Hey, anybody that wants to announce something, take the stage on a Friday." That's what I think. I don't know for a fact. I just don't think there was a criteria.
Hmm. Yeah, that's kind of touchy because you want to give everybody time, if possible. You want to give everybody time if possible. I mean, everybody was timed and they stuck to the schedule of whatever allotted time they have. And I see, I think they had to cut somebody off. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Because they were like going over their time, which really don't want to do, but they only have the place for so long, and so hmm,
What should they do? How can we make that a lot of time of flight sim updates and announcements? Like, how do we keep people interested, keep people engaged, and keep them in the room? Again, if you saw at the beginning of the event how many people were in that room and how many people were left at the end, it's actually really sad.
it's because people only want to come hear what they want to hear for their plane that they're looking for from their favorite
Mm.
developer, and they don't want to sit there listen to anybody else. It's just what it is. I'm not sure if you can even change that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and they
Um,
purposefully didn't put a time schedule publicly
right,
for because they knew people would leave
and come
or
back.
and try to
Right.
come back for that one thing they were
For the,
interested
for
in.
the, exactly. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That's gonna be a difficult one to answer. To be honest, that's gonna be a difficult one to answer. I don't know how you choose and who you tell yes or no to. I'm
Yeah,
not the what do you call it now? The organizer of it, and how you say, hey man, sorry, you can only have 5 minutes, or you have 10 minutes, or something like that.
yeah.
All right, oh, there you go. Here's a compromise.
What?
I don't know. Assign a different. Not everybody gets the same amount of time. I don't know.
Mm.
Depends on what your project is.
So,
You
like,
know.
you have different tiers, right? Where it's
Right.
like someone
Right.
like Bluebird or Microsoft Flight Sim or PMDG, someone who's like, you know,
Right.
that is gonna bring an audience, has like a much longer time
Right.
period versus somebody who's releasing a I don't know, a ATC board or something like that. Which I thought that was really interesting, by the way.
I would have one of
I
those,
would
by the way, on
I
my
would love to
desk.
have one.
Like on my wall of my desk, actually. What those
Yeah,
ATC boards are interesting. But I see what you're saying, time and place. Is that the place to announce that? And how much time does a person like that get compared to an add-on aircraft? You know what I'm
right.
saying? That's the thing. Um,
Because
or if you, or okay, let's say for instance, you are a scenery developer and
mhm,
you just want to drop a trailer of your brand new scenery that nobody knows you are making. You get 5 minutes
yeah,
to preview the trailer and
Max.
talk about it for 3 minutes and you're done. You
Yeah,
know, that could be a thing.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that could be a
And
thing.
they
So
did that.
I
They
think
had a few trailers being played. I think they were too long, though. I think some of them were too long. But yeah, maybe the more small, minor releases, like a scenery, which you can have a JFK even for example, but you don't need to stand up there
right,
for 30 minutes talking about JFK, right?
right.
You can go and just drop a trailer for that, and then we go on to the next person.
Yeah, that's I don't see anything wrong with that at all. I don't see. Yeah, I think different time limits for different types of things, because there should be a difference between a training seminar, like we're going to teach you how to develop X, versus an announcement, because this should be for announcements.
Yeah,
Here's a product that's coming out, here's the announcement of it, here's how long it took, here's why we did it, and here's a trailer for it. That will keep the excitement level up,
yeah.
right? So people want to stay. But when you start getting into the weeds of certain things about your product, it might not be as cool. And not to knock anybody, but you actually might do your product a disservice
Mm,
just by staying too long
yes.
in your presentation. You know, that's something that, if you are going to be presenting at a Flight Sim Expo, go over your presentation. Let me just say that. Go over your presentation, present it to yourself or to your family member and say, hey, what do you think? What needs to say and what needs to go? Because remember, you're trying to get people to partake in your product, buy your product, be excited for your product. So present it in the best way you can and give them just enough information to whet their appetites. Tell them to come to your booth and check you out. Done. Right? Try not to get into the weeds. So
Yeah.
that's just word to, if anybody's going to be presenting anything. Yeah, I mean, what do I know? But that would just be my
No,
advice.
I agree.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
yeah, that would be my
But
advice.
yeah, I think that's a piece of feedback that I would love the expo people to hear and see and see what they can do better next year. Another thing that I was thinking personally was the actual seminars, like the kind of like the break off sessions that they
Hmm.
had. Um, I wonder if there's a better way to do it. Reason why I say this is I felt like it was really hard as a Flight Sim Expo goer to choose between staying on the floor and, seeing more booths and
Right.
going to a seminar. 'Cause there was actually some pretty decent seminars this year from some great people, some, all kind of stuff they were talking
Hmm.
about over in the side room, which was actually kind of hard to find. Um, but it was like either I go and watch this seminar and lose an hour of my time, or I stay in the main exhibit hall and get a chance to actually experience a few more things. It goes back to my idea of saying that I just feel like there's not enough time to see everything. Now, I might not be the perfect person to say this because I know like me and you were kind of busy doing other things throughout the weekend. So we didn't really have the max a lot of time to go see everything.
Right.
But still, I feel I heard a lot of people didn't really get around to doing everything they wanted to do because it was just not enough time. And going to those seminars off to the side at the same time, you lose that time. I'm gonna say
Yeah.
time one more time. um, so I don't know. I don't know how else they could do that if they could break them apart somehow, like maybe in the morning before the
Mm.
doors open, right? Maybe have something going on, and then maybe after. But I don't know. I don't know. I
Well,
just felt like
look,
it was kind of hard.
it is hard for me and you to do, but I popped it in a couple of them, and I guess there were enough people who were interested in them to walk away from the floor and go do it. I think
Mm.
what we're trying to say is like we would like to see all of it. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah,
know,
I
we
will
want to see
say
everything.
the
You know,
FS Elite stage was a great idea because that was a
yes, I
stage
like
that was
that.
on the
Yes,
floor, right? You
yes.
didn't have to leave the hall to go away. Like I like that, and I did see a lot of people there for the fly by wire and for the Bluebird. So like, I guess if
So
people are
there's your
interested
answer.
enough, they will show up.
That's your answer. You know, I don't know how many seminars are running. If we can have all the seminars on the stage on the floor in the back, people who are sitting immediately in front of it could hear what was going on. The rest of us couldn't, so it wasn't a bother or anything like that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You know, you're in that corner of the floor, the way that stage was, like fly by wire was doing their thing and it was packed.
yeah,
But if you were standing like 4 booths away, you didn't even know what was going on because
exactly.
the atmosphere was so rich and thick and loud. So that could be it. Keep the
Yeah.
seminar in a corner where, you know, where the event is, you know. So you could glance over your shoulder and go, oh, you know what? I wanted to check this out. Let me go check this out real quick. And
Hmm.
then you come back. So that could be a good
Yeah.
compromise instead of
And you
having it
also,
at an
like you
off
said,
road.
like if you're in eye distance of it or seeing distance of it, and you're like, oh wait, that's fly by wire is on. Because like for me, I was paying zero attention to the schedule.
Right.
I didn't know when anything was happening, and so for those who are like me who don't know when anything's happening, just glancing over and saying, oh, fly by wire is doing a thing, I'm gonna go over there. Like you said, another thing I like was how they had the concession area right there along the side with lots
Yes.
of chairs. That's one thing we didn't have in the past was
A
a lot of
lounge area was
chairs
nice.
for you to
Yeah.
sit. Lounge area and chairs, being able to sit down, take a break. I thought that was very important. The person that I was hanging out with a lot throughout the weekend, he was an older guy, and he needed regular sit down breaks and whatnot. And it was it
He
was
wasn't
nice
an
for him to
older guy, man. He's listening.
yeah. Yeah, so it was easily for him to just walk across the exhibit hall right up to the
Yeah.
concession stand, get a snack, sit down, take a break, and then usually
Yeah.
he ended up talking to somebody there,
Yeah.
about flight sim or whatever. So I love that
Right.
idea as well. I love this
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
concessions
Oh,
location,
absolutely. Yeah.
and I like the way they had the stage there. I don't think everything should be on that stage, um, but I think that was a good idea.
Well, I mean, if there's blank time, you want to talk about your stuff? There's your 30 minutes. There's your
Yeah,
15 minutes. There's your 20 minutes. Come present it. Come present it to us. Let's drop your trailer or whatever you need to drop.
yeah,
I'm good with it. So, but all in all, I think every year we learn more, and I
hmm
think the organizers learn more and just add more and do better. And I think year over year, it gets better and better and better. I think
yeah.
so year over year, and I'm thankful for that. So yeah,
So next
nice.
year in Providence, Rhode Island, will be the best Flight Sim Expo
Oh
ever.
boy. Not gonna hype it up, man. I'm just not. I'm just gonna see.
it's
I'll
gonna
be
be
there.
hard. You know, it's gonna be hard to beat this one. It's
Yeah,
gonna be hard to
yeah,
beat this one.
exactly. We said the same thing with Houston. It was going to be
Yeah.
hard to beat because of the location. We'll
Hey, at
see
least
what
we won't
happens.
be hot.
Yep, that's true. That is true. That is true. You know, Northeast corridor for the win. So yeah, but yeah. So shout out to all who came through at Flight Sim Expo. Young and old. You know, short or tall. You guys enjoyed yourselves. I saw it in your face. You guys were excited to talk and experience and hands on. And next year, I look forward to seeing you guys again. Absolutely, definitely. It was great. It was absolutely great. I'm still tired. I was getting up at like 5 in the morning and going to bed like 2 in the morning. Just from it. So that goes to show you how
That's because
much
you were
was
jet
going on.
lagged. That's why.
That's true too. That is true too. But nobody was going to bed at 9 o'clock. Okay, let's put it
True.
that way. It was Vegas. You know,
Yep.
yeah. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. For real. So yeah.
Including your money.
Oh, don't even talk. Yeah. Yeah. Oh
Including
boy.
your
Yeah.
money.
Exactly. Exactly.